Hey everybody, welcome back to Bible Fun with the Duns. Today we read Exodus chapter 37 and 38. And so here we are again, we were building a bunch of stuff. And so this time in particular, it was the Ark of the Covenant along with a bunch of other sacred little things that they use for worship and to honor God. And so a lot of it was a lot of instructions. And so it's kind of difficult to get through and really find God in all of this. I'm not at all a scholar, but so I was talking to Dad about this, and we had a good conversation actually. And so what we found was the intricacy of everything going on, and so the work that had to go on here was super difficult. It was super meticulous, and it was everything God told them to do. There was nothing creative that came from their own heads. It was everything from God and for God. And it was them doing it and working for God because that's what he told them to do. And so what that tells us is we need to do the same and not only do what God tells us to, but we also need to carry out his commands with the same care and the same meticulousness, if that's even a word. But y'all get what I'm trying to say. And so it's just a bunch of difficult stuff they're doing right here, but they're all doing it for the glory of the Lord. And one example, what I really noticed today was a lot of it was cast. And so I'm not sure if any of y'all are big on sculpting and casting and all that, but I learned this today. But Donatello in the Renaissance was like the main sculpting guy, right? He was the greatest sculptor ever. And so we were going through a bunch of artwork, right? And it was statues and sculptures of David, who was they like to carve him and stuff for some reason. He was pretty important, I guess. But anyway, we looked at his and we compared it to Michelangelo's and the rest of them. And it was really weird because she was telling us, our teacher, she was like, Donatello is the greatest sculptor. And then we compared his to everybody else's. And we're like, that doesn't look as good, if we're being honest. And she addressed that to us. She's like, I know what y'all are thinking. It's not as good as the other ones. But then we really broke down what it was. And so while everyone else's was made of marble, which I'm not a sculptor, I'm not even a little bit artistic. Everything they made had to be super precise. But when you look at Donatello's, it's made of bronze, and the rest are made of marble. And so to do something like that, you have to make a cast, and that's what it's talking about right here when making the ark and a bunch of other stuff. You have to kind of do the outside and work everything out backwards so that when you pour in the metal, you wait for it to harden, and then you break the cast, and then that's the sculpture right there. And so it's super difficult. It takes a bunch of talent. It takes a lot of work, and we see that's what God's calling his people to do. And I think it's interesting because that's really difficult, but that's what he's telling us to do. And it's just a good reminder of life, right? Because a lot of times what God tells us to do is super difficult. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work. And there's a lot of room for error. But if we just do what he says and we're patient and we take our time and we do it all for him and for his glory, then it all comes out great, just like what they're making for him right here. And so anyway, that's what I got out of it. Tomorrow we are going to be in 39 and 40, I believe. And so that's going to be good. All right, see you then. Bye.